Welcome back to today's video. In this episode, we'll follow a young man on his journey to build a traditional wooden house deep in the forest, complete with a beautiful front terrace. Stay tuned and watch until the end to see how this amazing home comes to life. After completing the outline of the house foundation, he moved on to preparing the wooden posts that would form the base of the floor. He carefully selected sturdy logs, then used fire to burn their outer surface. This traditional method not only gave the wood a darker, rustic look, but also helped protect it against insects and weather over time. Once the posts had been treated, he measured and cut them into equal sections, ensuring that each piece was the same size for a uniform structure. With patience and precision, he placed these wooden sections one by one along the edges of the foundation. Gradually, a strong and well-defined border began to take shape, creating the first layer of stability for the floor that would soon support the entire house. After that, he began working on the joints of the wooden beams. With careful craftsmanship, he carved precise notches and connections so that each piece would fit tightly together without leaving any gaps. This traditional joinery method not only made the structure stronger, but also added to the natural beauty of the build. Slowly, the frame of the house grew more defined, setting the foundation for the living space that was about to rise from the ground. With the foundation and floor border complete, he turned his attention to the most crucial phase of construction, erecting the frame of the house. This step would decide the strength and durability of the entire structure. He began with the main framework, carefully lifting the tall wooden pillars and positioning them at the corners and key points of the foundation. Each post was firmly set in place, standing upright like a backbone for the future home. Once the pillars were secured, he connected them with long horizontal beams, using traditional joinery methods to lock the wood tightly together without relying on nails. Every connection was carved and fitted with precision, ensuring that the structure would remain strong against wind and weather. After completing the main frame of the house, he moved on to the next vital step, raising the triangular roof frame. Carefully, he measured and cut the beams that would form the basic shape of the roof. One by one, he lifted the angled rafters and fixed them at the top of the vertical pillars, joining them together to create strong triangular peaks. On the side of the main structure, he decided to extend the house by adding an extra space. This extension was designed as a smaller room, built seamlessly into the existing frame. On the main roof, he added a smaller raised section, carefully constructing a compact frame that sat neatly above the larger structure. This small rooftop extension was designed not just for beauty, but also for practicality. He carved out a window within it, allowing natural light to stream down from above. When the sun shines, its rays would filter directly through this window, brightening the interior and giving the home a warm, inviting glow. From afar, the little rooftop window stood out like a crown, adding charming character to the traditional wooden design. To cover the roof frame and give the house proper shelter, he began working with wide wooden planks. Each plank was carefully measured and then placed tightly side by side, leaving no gaps between them. Slowly, he covered the entire triangular frame, making sure every section was sealed against rain and wind. The sound of the planks being fastened echoed through the forest, as the roof gradually transformed from an open skeleton into a solid protective layer. With each row of wooden boards secured, the roof looked sturdier and more complete. From the ground, it gave the impression of strength and warmth, a traditional touch that perfectly matched the rustic wooden frame of the house. This careful work not only kept the elements out, but also added a natural beauty to the home, blending it seamlessly with the forest around it. After securing all the wooden planks to cover the roof, he moved on to trimming the edges. With a steady hand, he used his saw to cut away the uneven overhangs, carefully following a straight line along the border of the roof. This step gave the structure a cleaner, sharper appearance, turning the rough edges into smooth, even lines. Bit by bit, as the excess wood fell away, the roof began to look more refined and well finished. Once the roof was trimmed, he turned his attention to the walls. To prepare for the wall cladding, he began installing vertical posts along the house frame. These sections would serve as the backbone for the wall cladding later. For the walls, he chose a method that balanced both strength and insulation by building them in two layers. The first layer was created by attaching wooden planks horizontally across the vertical posts, spacing them evenly apart. This provided the initial structure and support for the wall. After that, he began placing the second layer of planks, carefully positioning each one so that it covered the gaps of the layer beneath it. This overlapping design not only sealed the walls completely against wind and rain, but also gave them a textured, rustic beauty. While working on the walls, he also kept in mind the layout of the home's openings. He deliberately left spaces within the framework for windows, ensuring that the finished house would have natural light and ventilation. The gaps stood out against the growing wooden walls, promising bright, airy corners where the forest sunlight could stream inside. With every plank added, the once open frame grew more solid and enclosed, steadily transforming into a true shelter. To complete the roof and make it fully weatherproof, he began covering it with metal sheets. One by one, the corrugated panels were lifted into place and carefully aligned over the wooden planks beneath. Each sheet overlapped the next, creating tight seams that would prevent water from leaking through. The sound of the hammer striking nails echoed as he secured the panels firmly, making sure they could withstand both wind and rain. The shining metal gave the house a bold, finished look while also providing strong protection against storms and moisture. With this final step, the once exposed roof became a solid shield, ensuring that the wooden home would remain safe, dry, and resilient for years to come. With the roof fully secured, he turned his attention back to the unfinished walls. In the remaining open sections, he carefully continued attaching wooden planks, one by one, until every gap was sealed. Each board was measured and fitted precisely, making sure the wall lines were straight and tight. Slowly, the empty frame disappeared behind solid wood, transforming into a protective barrier that gave the home both strength and warmth. As the last planks were fastened into place, the walls of the house finally stood complete. What had once been just a skeleton of posts and beams was now a fully enclosed wooden structure. With the walls in place, he focused on creating the entrance to the home. First, he built a sturdy wooden frame for the front door, measuring it carefully so it would fit neatly into the opening he had left in the wall. Once the frame was secured, he crafted a solid wooden door and attached strong metal hinges to its side. With steady hands, he fixed the hinges into the doorway, allowing the door to swing open and close smoothly. After setting the door frame and hinges in place, he continued by covering the wooden frame of the door itself. Carefully, he cut and attached sturdy planks, fixing them side by side until the entire surface was sealed. Each piece was aligned with precision, giving the door a neat and solid appearance. The raw frame was no longer just a skeleton of beams. It had now become a strong wooden door that blended perfectly with the rustic style of the house. The door not only provided safety and privacy, but also carried the charm of handcrafted woodwork, a detail that made the home feel both traditional and welcoming. With the door completed, he turned his attention to the windows. The openings he had carefully left in the walls were now ready to be finished. One by one, he measured and fitted glass panes into the wooden frames, securing them tightly so they would sit firmly in place. The clear glass allowed sunlight to stream inside, brightening the wooden interior and making the space feel warm and inviting. As each pane was installed, the windows transformed from empty gaps into polished details of the home. From the outside, they gave the house a refined, elegant look. From the inside, they offered bright views of the surrounding forest. Moving inside, he began working on the floor of the house. First, he carefully leveled the ground, digging and loosening the soil to make it even. Once the surface was prepared, he compacted the earth firmly, pressing it down until it became solid and stable. This step created a strong natural base for the floor, ensuring that the foundation inside the house was both flat and durable. After preparing and compacting the earth inside, he moved on to laying the wooden floor. He brought in the logs he had already cut into equal lengths, each one carefully measured to match the others. One by one, he placed them side by side, arranging them in neat rows across the entire surface of the floor. The even cuts allowed the logs to fit tightly together, creating a solid wooden layer that completely covered the ground below. As the rows grew, the bare earth slowly disappeared beneath the warm tones of natural wood. Each piece not only added strength, but also brought a sense of order and beauty to the interior. Once the wooden floor was neatly arranged, he carried in soil to spread across the entire surface. Shovelful by shovelful, he poured the earth evenly, making sure it filled every gap between the logs and covered the floor completely. Then, he carefully leveled it out, smoothing the surface until it became flat and uniform. Inside the house, he decided to add a loft to make use of the high ceiling and create more living space. To begin, he carefully built the supporting frame for this upper level. Strong vertical posts were set in place, then connected with sturdy horizontal beams to form a solid skeleton. Once the frame of the loft was complete, he began covering it with wide wooden planks to form the floor above. One by one, the planks were lifted into place and secured tightly across the beams, creating a smooth and sturdy surface. Each board was carefully aligned so that there were no gaps, making the loft strong enough to support daily use. As the rows of planks stretched across the frame, the empty skeleton of the loft transformed into a solid platform. To create access to the loft, he chose a tree trunk with a gentle natural curve. The shape was perfect, giving the staircase both strength and character. He carefully stripped away the rough bark, smoothing the surface until it was clean and polished. Then, with steady hands, he secured the trunk in place, turning it into a rustic yet sturdy staircase leading up to the loft. Its natural curve added softness to the straight lines of the beams and walls, blending craftsmanship with nature in a way that made the home truly unique. Once the curved trunk was set firmly in place, he began crafting the steps for the staircase. To do this, he carved precise joints along the surface of the wood, making sure each notch was evenly spaced and strong enough to hold weight. Into these joints, he carefully fitted the wooden steps, one after another, securing them tightly so they would not shift or loosen over time. Along the edge of the loft, he built a wooden railing to make the upper level safer and more complete. He began by fixing sturdy vertical posts at regular intervals, ensuring they were firmly anchored into the loft's frame. Then, he connected these posts with smooth horizontal beams, creating a strong barrier that outlined the entire loft edge. As the railing took shape, it not only added protection, but also gave the loft a finished, polished look. To make the loft railing more unique, he chose wooden branches with many natural offshoots. Instead of cutting them into straight, uniform pieces, he kept their organic shapes and fitted them carefully between the posts. One by one, the branch-like beams were fastened in place, their twisting forms creating a rustic yet artistic design. The staircase was not yet complete without a handrail, so he carefully set about installing one. Using strong, smooth wooden beams, he aligned the handrail with the curve of the steps, making sure it fit naturally against the shape of the staircase. Each joint was secured with precision, allowing the rail to feel firm and steady under the hand. To complete the structure, he also worked on the open triangular sections of the roof and the areas where the levels of the house shifted. In these spaces, he carefully installed wooden beams, creating firm frames that would later hold small windows and support the finishing layers of the walls. Each piece of wood was measured and positioned with care, making sure the frames were straight and strong enough to last. Once the wooden frames were secured in the triangular roof sections and level transitions, he began covering them with planks. One by one, the boards were lifted and fitted tightly against the frames, closing off the open gaps. Each piece was measured and cut carefully so that it aligned perfectly, leaving no spaces for wind or rain to pass through. As the rows of planks grew, the exposed areas of the walls disappeared, replaced by a neat, solid surface. This not only sealed the structure, but also gave the house a more complete and polished look. After closing off the wall sections with wooden planks, he turned his attention to finishing the framed openings. Carefully, he built and installed small wooden shutters for each window, shaping them to fit perfectly within the frames. Strong hinges were fixed in place, allowing the shutters to open and close smoothly. Next came the construction of the upper terrace, a feature that would make the house even more special. At the front of the smaller side room, he began by assembling a strong wooden frame. Thick posts were set firmly in place, then connected with sturdy beams to form the base outline of the terrace. Each joint was secured with care, ensuring that the structure could bear weight and remain stable over time. From the ground, the new frame extended outward like a natural extension of the house, promising a high open space where one could step out to enjoy the view of the surrounding forest. With the frame of the terrace standing firm, he turned his attention to building a way to reach it. Carefully, he constructed a wooden staircase leading upward, placing each step with precision to ensure safety and balance. Strong side beams were first secured in place, forming the backbone of the stairs. Then, one by one, he attached the steps, measuring the distance between them so that the climb would be steady and comfortable. As the staircase grew, it created a clear path from the ground level up to the terrace above. This addition not only made the new space accessible, but also gave the house a more complete and practical design. Once the staircase was finished, he returned to the terrace frame to complete its floor. Carefully, he lifted wide wooden planks and laid them across the beams, fitting each one tightly against the next. With the terrace floor complete, he moved on to building the railing around its edges. First, he secured sturdy vertical posts at equal distances along the border, driving them firmly into the terrace frame. Then, he connected these posts with strong horizontal beams, creating a protective barrier that wrapped around the entire platform. As the railing took shape, the terrace instantly felt safer and more complete. It not only provided security for anyone stepping outside, but also added elegance to the structure. From afar, the railing framed the terrace beautifully, making it stand out as a highlight of the house. From up close, it invited one to lean against the wood and look out over the trees, turning the terrace into the perfect place for rest. To finish the staircase leading up to the terrace, he added handrails on both sides. Strong wooden posts were set along the stairs, and onto these he carefully secured smooth beams that followed the slope upward. With each section fitted in place, the staircase became safer and easier to climb, offering support and balance for anyone using it. The handrails also gave the staircase a refined look, turning it from a simple set of steps into a well-crafted feature of the house. Finally, to keep the design consistent, he decorated the terrace railing and stair handrails with the same style he had used inside the loft. Using branches with natural curves and offshoots, he carefully fastened them along the edges, filling in the spaces of the railing and framing the sides of the handrails. Each branch was chosen for its unique shape, giving the structure a rustic, organic beauty. This final touch tied the entire home together. The flowing lines of the branches echoed the forest outside, making the house feel as if it had grown naturally from its surroundings. The railing and handrails were no longer just functional elements. They became works of art, blending craftsmanship with nature. With this detail complete, the wooden home stood finished, unified in design, and full of character, ready to welcome life within its walls. With the main structure complete, he turned his focus to refining the details. Taking up a sanding tool, he began smoothing the wooden walls of the house. The raw wood gradually transformed under his hands, revealing a cleaner, as the very last step, he gave the wooden walls a vibrant new look by painting them in a deep red color. With each brush stroke, the plain wood absorbed the rich tone, transforming the surface from rustic raw timber into walls full of life and warmth. Slowly, the entire house took on a unified shade, glowing softly against the green backdrop of the forest. When the final coat was complete, the wooden house stood proudly finished, its bold red walls a striking contrast to the natural surroundings. And so, his journey comes to an end. Thank you for following along and sharing this experience with him. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss the next adventures. Goodbye for now, and see you in the upcoming videos.